Ruslan.
It's official, Kanye West has changed his name, and on this video, I'm going to tell you guys why. The real reason why Kanye changed his name. He is no longer Kanye, I think his middle name was Amari West. He is just Ye. That's it. He's just going by Ye. Now, he actually revealed the reason a while ago. NPR just reported on it. I'm going to get to that quote, and I think the deeper reason for the name change, I think it's pretty crazy to just go by Ye, just that. Some people are saying maybe there's some theories around record label situations, kind of like back in the day when Prince changed his name to the symbol. Some of you guys might be too young to remember that, but the artist Prince changed his name to just this like kind of cool symbol, and that was kind of a finesse of him renegotiating and getting out of some of his bad label situations. With Kanye, he has a quote that I'm gonna read to you guys. It's fairly simple. Some of you guys may know it, and I'm gonna parallel it to a piece of apparel that came out that I think kind of loosely ties into it. Interesting thing is his wife, or his estranged wife, or we don't know where him and Kim are, is actually keeping the West last name because she wants to have all the kids with the same last name, even though his last name is no longer West. Okay. Interesting stuff. So here's the quote. This is from NPR. He explained the name's biblical significance in an interview promoting the album that same year. This is back in when he put out the Ye album, before he was even really following Jesus. And he said, "I believe Ye is the most commonly used word in the Bible. In the Bible, it means you," he said. "So I'm you, I'm us, it's us." So his version or reasoning for changing his name from Kanye West to just Ye is because the word Ye is the most common word in the Bible. And if you listen to Kanye, you understand a lot of times that he is trying to embody his audience, that they can live vicariously through him, that in his weaknesses, in his triumphs, that people see themselves in Kanye. Okay, it's really interesting from a marketing standpoint, because he's essentially allowing himself, in a way, I guess, to be like a vessel, if you will, for people to see themselves in him. There's a piece of apparel that came out, and I don't think he has anything to do with this piece of apparel, but it's kind of a double entendre in terms of meanings. You guys have seen this hoodie. I think Drake is the one who most famously wore it, and people thought it was like a subliminal at Kanye, if you guys remember when Drake wore this. So the hoodie says, "Ye must be born again," or "Ye must be born again," right? And so Drake was all over rocking this joint. And it's this foam printed hoodie that I think was $500 or something outlandish, on some high fashion vibes. And it's the double entendre of saying Kanye must be born again. He's acting crazy. He's acting wild. Okay, so if he's acting crazy, he's acting wild, Ye must be born again. And it's also the passage from John in the King James Version saying, you must be born again. I wonder if there's any connection to this, right, in his approach to changing it. I think it's interesting. I also think the deeper reason is Ye is born again. And so what happens when someone is born again, transformed, renewed in Jesus? Well, they have a new identity, so that the old passes away and the new is shown. And so in him being born again, him being new, maybe that is the reason for wanting to change his name to just Ye. And let's be honest, it's a very Kanye thing to do, right? Just go by Ye. No last name, no middle name, no first name, just Ye. He's just Ye now. He's getting on an airplane. Hey, what is your name? Ye. What? Ye. That's it. What's your last name? No, Ye. That's it. I think this is interesting that these sayings and phrases are making it into high fashion. Think about that for a second, right? Of course, you have Jerry Lorenzo from Fear of God. Jerry Lorenzo is a devoted Christian, been openly about his faith for a long time. Fear of God is a massive brand, massive movement, connections with Nike and all the biggest brands, right? So you got Jerry Lorenzo, and then you have this Ye must be born again hoodie that's very popular, sells up in the hundreds of $500 in this like high-end luxury, high fashion thing that is, very, very, very dripped out in Christian undertones, right? So it appears that Cactus Plant Flea Market did design the Ye Must Be Born Again, and they also designed the That's on God, Jesus is King merch in a collaboration with Kanye. So that's actually really interesting. So I wonder if Kanye did have something to do with that original hoodie. If you guys know more than I do, please let me know in the chat, because I think this is a whatever piece, but that Ye Must Be Born Again hoodie is fire. And now I'm curious if Kanye did have something to do with it, because they did a collaboration, Kanye West, Cactus Flea Market, Jesus King merch. So they did collaborate on something in terms of the Jesus King merch, and I saw a lot of this merch. In person, this merch looked way better than it did on pictures. Like Ray Rock, I think, got a piece from when we went to Sunday service, and it looked way more fire in person than it does here. So shout out to Cactus Plant Flea Market for putting together a fire piece of merch. Ye Must Be Born Again. You should be born again too. All of y'all should be born again. All right? Let me know what y'all think.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, thank you so much for making it till the end of this video. Remember to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. I wanted to tell you about a free upcoming course I am putting together at mastermyhabits.com. When you sign up right now, you'll be the first to be notified about the course. And in the meantime, you'll immediately get access to a playlist going over my journey on how I went from addiction to freedom forming habits. So make sure to hit that link in the description. I'll see you on the next video.